Thank God it's Friday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. We have Mariam Lunge alone in the building. There's a lot of traffic out there today, and Tokwa is stuck somewhere. How are you doing, Mariam?
I'm fine. It feels weird to just be just two of us. It's happened before, but I wasn't on the show. And I just never thought it would happen to me, but here we are. I was just thinking, right, recently, like with our children, sometimes we be telling them what to do, but they're insisting on their way. Like, if you only listen to me, you won't have to make this mistake. They made me realize that that's what God deals with every day with us. You know, like, today I
He lets you make the mistakes.
Yeah,
You learn from it.
I'm like, he's giving you all the things that you need to do. He's explained it to you, but still you insist on your way. And I was just thinking that, you know, God in heaven, you're just amazing. You're really patient, because with my children, it takes a lot from me. But it just helps you even as an adult now appreciate, you know, your relationship with God and what he does for you, and also helps you to trust him more. Because you can see with parenting your children, the mistakes that they're making, and then you're realizing, oh.
Hoping they trust you enough.
Yeah, so but also for me, it's like I'm realizing, just trust him.
Right.
He knows, you know, so he's got you.
I'm going to Abuja today. I'm speaking at Linus Occur's leadership conference, speaking on organizational learning. And, you know, sometimes, I think in recent times I wrote a book. It helped me to dig into my own background, history, what I've done in the past. I never used to articulate the journey. But from writing that book, I'm able to look back and say some of these things that we're learning, I did them, but I did not know at the time that I was actually acting out certain principles, business principles in the past. So I'm pretty excited to share some of my story with the team. We're going to be at Transcorp Hilton. It's a paid event, so if you want to register, I'm sure you can still register. But we're there. Obiajula has gone. She's also going to be there. I'm so excited to be there. Just to also learn from the great speakers that will be there. I know that Joe Frazier and a bunch of others will also be there. So it's a great, and it's important to attend these conferences because you get to learn a few things. I mean, I think I was saying sometimes that even though they say the same thing, you know what they're saying, but it's always good for reinforcement. You know, when you're constantly hearing it, it helps you.
And it's also a good networking opportunity.
Exactly.
You get to meet people in the same industry or different ones. And you just never know who you might meet that may just take you up to the next level. Let's
go on a quick break. I'm told that Tokwa is in now, so hopefully she can give us a few things. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Traffic this morning.
Traffic was wonderful, but here we are.
Okay, let's start with the nation. We removed obstacles to growth, Tinubu tells investors. LP Obi's witness contradict each other at election tribunal. NLC cautions against electricity tariffs hike. Search for Titanic, 5 explorers died in catastrophic implosion. Lagos Blue Line rail to operate from August. Exchange rate determines air fare, says IATA. Removal of subsidy cuts tanker loading period by 5 days. And Naira weakens to 765 Naira to the dollar. Okay, which story are we starting with?
I took subsidy removal has reduced loading period by 5 days, says Ipman. So we have the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. The National Vice President, Abubakar Megandi, said that that now it takes like 48 hours only to load at the depot, but it used to take 1 week when there was subsidy. He said that the end of the subsidy and bridging of petroleum products, the trucks have no reason to stop at the receiver depots for equalization recording. He says that the excesses in loading have reduced as there's no need for the product to come to the receiving depot. The dealer will just carry the product directly to his filling station as there's no petroleum equalization. There is no much delay compared to what happened before the subsidy. And that says a lot. I mean, that is good for, you know, traffic as well as even the economy. You just never know how policies, how they, you know, the multiplier effect of a particular policy and how it affects everything. So this is good news in as
So
well.
the managing director for Lamata, Mrs. Abimbola Akinjo, has said that she's happy to inform us that they are rounding up the testing period. If you recall, they had launched the Blue Line earlier. The president had come back in January to launch the Blue Line, and they started test running from February up until now. So she said that they're wrapping up the test run, and she's saying categorically that it will begin commercial operations in August. Also, the Agbado to Igbo rail line is also nearing completion, and they intend to begin testing around that August also. The Blue Line was inaugurated earlier in the year, and we're pretty excited about that because that will ease traffic from those going to, I think it's from the Marina Line. I think I'm trying to get the exact line it was. But I mean, I'm really happy that finally it's going to begin operations and people can now have better transportation from that mile 2, I believe, to Marina. Okay.
So the president, our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was speaking in Paris, and he said that he was speaking at the 2-day new Global Financing Pact Summit, and he promised to embark on more reforms such as power, infrastructural development, agriculture, small and medium-scale areas. But the crux of it is that he said they've taken away the largest elephant in the room, which is the removal of subsidy and multiple exchange rates. He said that these are the key obstacles to growth, and he's telling investors he will do much more. He's urging investors across the world to take advantage of the trade and investment opportunities in Nigeria and assures them that the ongoing reforms will be sustained. He promised that not just the removal of fuel subsidy, but that with the with the fact that there's no multiple exchange rates, we will be getting more foreign direct investment into the country, and it's a strong message. I'm hoping that the international investors take advantage of the opportunities that Nigeria presents right now.
I had one more story in Nation about the capsule, the vessel, the submarine that was actually looking for the Titanic. Everybody was watching that story, monitoring that story, and sadly, the Coast Guard Rear Admiral John Moga announced yesterday at the press conference that they believe the 5 passengers have completely disappeared and died through to catastrophic implosion. So they're saying that the vessel imploded. Really, really painful. It says they found debris of it about 1,600 feet from the site of the Titanic, finding consistency that with catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. So really, really, really sad story. Adventurous, you know, would have been a fantastic success if it was, but unfortunately it didn't come out as expected.
There was a 19-year-old boy among
he and his father. Really, really painful. Moving on now to the Punch very quickly. DMO worries over low revenue as Nigeria's debt nears 81 trillion naira. Paris Summit, subsidy removal, forex policy needed for survival, says Tinubu. Scholars should not be relegated for money bags, says LASU best student. Oshomole Adeleke, others bid farewell as Dr. C is buried. Ogun tops as NPC registers 49,000 deaths in 6 months. FG states local government share 786 billion naira May revenue. Labour discos on collision course over electricity tariff hike. And terrorists planning attacks on religious fund centers, DSS warns. Okay, which story are we starting with?
DSS, the Department of State Services, has raised alarm of planned attacks on worship and recreational centers before and during the Eid. The DSS is calling for vigilance before the Eid celebrations, more so that reports had indicated plans to attack worship and recreational centers. They said This is evident by the recovery of primed IEDs among the suspected terrorists. So they're asking operators and patrons of public places, including market malls, to be watchful and report any suspicious movements and persons to relevant security agencies. They are also saying they are going to continue partnering with sister agencies for necessary proactive drills to frustrate criminals and their activities. They also said recently they had, in one of the operations, they had where they raided a hideout of one Kabir Bala, who is a gang leader and well-known terrorist. He was killed in a gun duel, and among some of the things they found ammunition, they found IEDs, things they found fully loaded, with 3 fully loaded magazines, 6 locally fabricated weapons. So, phones and charms. They're just saying that they're working hard to make sure that we're safe, but these people are out there planning all sorts of evil, so we need to be vigilant, we need to be watchful.
So IATA is the International Air Transport Association yesterday said that they are not the ones that determine the cost of travel in Nigeria, that the cost of travel is determined by the US dollars, and as long as the Naira is, the change in Naira value, it would continue to affect airfares. He said the conversion used the official prevailing exchange rate by each country, and that is why the cost isn't stable. He said that the travel expenses has really skyrocketed. They gave example of some of the costs, but they're saying Nigerians shouldn't blame them. They should blame the fact that the Naira isn't strong enough.
All right, so congratulations to Amina Yusuf. She made the 5.0 cumulative grade point average at LASU Lagos State University. Best graduating student of law. She's going to be our guest a bit later. It was important for us to mention that this was a 40-year record broken by this young lady, and we'll congratulate her. I know Nima has been posting her picture back to back, and we're celebrating you also. So we'll be speaking with, I'm happy she's in the studio, but it was important for me to mention it in the papers because she has really done very well, and of course I hear that she's been given a gift by the governor, and all the state governments, and the governor, its personal funds, has also given her cumulative, I think, 10 million naira. So congratulations to Amina Yusuf. Well done. We're so proud of you. Okay, another story?
Yes, NLC and discos are going to, there's a clash loading. And the clash is based on the fact that the discos are about to change tariffs. They said the NEC tariff adjustment is responsible for, the NERC is responsible for adjusting our tariffs, but the NLC president, Joe Ajero, is stating that the massive increase was explained away to over 100% increase in the PMS, detailing that the movements of people has gone higher, and so they have to reflect that same change. We already have a NEC policy that changes tariffs from every six months, so there's a new tariff that will take effect from the 1st of July 2023. And I'm wondering what I don't see what NLC can do to stop this, because they've tried it a few times. Every 6 months they'll be changing our tariff.
Well, so NLC is saying that there's no need or justification for the increase given the prevailing economic situation. They said that the increase in the electricity tariff will be insensitive as far as they're callous and reflective of an organized indifference to the well-being of Nigeria, especially the poor. So we'll definitely know that this is going to be a tough one to implement.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our reviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail, or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something.
We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Ike Sunday Okonkwo, aka Cross. Now your intro without
Wow.
So there's a name that thing that's.
I'm just drinking because you say I should drink. There's no particular answer.
You think it's only that can be wicked?
What's the answer?
Subterfuge.
Eh?
Yeah, they claim you did, but you said it just happened. That
And it's called what again?
subterfuge.
Such a fuge.
SUBTERFUGE.
So you look me finish from head to toe. You look at a person who go know what to become such. Yeah?
The nude wasn't like a game plan. Or...
I promise you,
Bec-
it was
bec-
actually a mistake.
bec-
Like it
because-
was sending it to someone, and it just mistakenly just.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on now to Daily Sun. Outrage over proposed 114% pay rise for Tinubu and others. Nnamdi Kanu, Ohaneze Masob, IPOB Blambas, Asari Dokubo. INEC deliberately deleted results from Beavers, forensic expert tells Tribunal. DSS alleges plan to attack worship centers during Salah. Bill Gates Foundation to commit $7 billion on interventions in 4 years. Dignitaries massive crowd bid Dark founder Dokwesi goodbye. NLC demands suspension of planned increase in electricity rates. And U.S. immigration lawyer testifies against Lagos deputy governor. Okay, which story are we starting with? Let me do Ohaneze Ndigbo has condemned the recent outburst of former Niger Delta militant Asari Dokubo, asking the federal government not to release IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. His vice chairman, Damian Ogene, in a statement said Dokubo's views were prompted by his personal and selfish interest, and he urged the federal government to heed the call by Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo and other stakeholders to immediately release Nnamdi Kanu. He said that the restoration and promotion of rule of law and respect for the fundamental human rights of individuals are key to stabilizing the polity and restoring people's confidence in governance.
So dignitaries and massive crowd gathered to bid the Dark Communications founder, High Chief Raymond Dokwesi. He was interred in his home in Agenebode, Esako, East Local Government Area of Edo State. Family close associates were there. He died on the 29th of May at 71. He fell off a treadmill, machine while using it, and it's been a lot of people lauded his commitment to charity, his pioneering of the privatized media. The Most Reverend Gabriel Dunia, the Catholic Bishop of Auchi Diocese, was at the funeral, and he spoke about the humility that High Chief Raymond Dokwesi displayed, and also spoke about his contributions towards charity, that even that there's a popular saying that charity
Begins at home?
Yeah, no. The way he said it, a charity covers a multitude of sins. You know, I've never heard that quote before, but he said you cannot talk about media in the African continent and not mention High Chief Raymond Dokbesi, and it's a really sad loss. A lot of other political bigwigs were there, sent representatives to...
I mean, I also mourn with him because I told you guys that I got a message on May 4th. He sent me a message on some other conversations, and it was just painful to me. A few weeks after he was gone, I was really shocked to get that message. May so rest in peace. Okay, any other story, Sean? Let's move on quickly now to Vanguard. NLC TUC CSOs rise against hike in electricity tariff. Presidency denies approving salary increase for political office holders and judiciary. Made in Nigeria knows safe for consumption, says NAFDAC. NGE President Governor Mutftang, Nigerian Press Council, congratulated Eze Anaba. RTA and Lagos Monarch trade words over transport dispute. Why we embarked on mass sack, says Ondo Varsity. Dollar video, Kano Anti-Graft Agency boss vows to reopen the Ganduje's case. Nigerians have lost confidence in judiciary, says lawyers. Presidential poll, INEC wipe off results in Beavers, forensic expert tells courts. Okay, which story are we starting with in the Vanguard?
The FIRS,
please,
to end multiple taxation, collect market traders VAT. So the executive chairman of FIRS said that it was crucial, that this new policy is crucial to revenue generation and also eliminating multiple taxation, especially in the informal sector. I'll just go straight to that. He says that so they're going to be collaborating with Matan, and the FRS and GTB are also working on modalities of addressing this challenge. They're going to be providing, this policy will be that they're working on providing security in the local market. So they are aware that at the local markets, people are constantly paying one tax or the other, and it's unfair, and it has an effect on the economy and also on the businesses, the informal sector. So they're seeing how they can provide security for people there. They're also going to be giving them some a card, enumeration. They said the card contains the tax identification number and other personal details. So they will be able to pay their taxes, you know, just once to the relevant agency and not to different touts and miscreants that come to them at different times to collect this money. And I think that is amazing that they are doing that. They understand how huge that sector is, the importance of that for that sector to thrive for our economy. So we need to find ways to protect them and stop this multiple taxation. So I think it's amazing that we're providing local solutions to our local problems.
So, going by the fake news, we discussed it yesterday, that Ramfak's proposition it went viral like wildfire. The Special Advisor on Special Duties and Communications, Mr. Dele Alaki, has spoken yesterday that, excuse me, that the government had never, and the president had never approved such, that Ramfak, yes, is within his constitutional duties to propose, but there's nothing concerning that proposition has come forward to the president, and nothing like that exists. That there's the fact that the fake news really went viral, that the president, the vice president, and other office holders are going to get 114% increase is fake news. And I think even the major headline, Daily Sun, said the same thing. You know, so it's all about framing. You know, we try to get the people to just go against government. When government is trying to fix something, media tries to redirect them to hate or to disagree just because you want, a certain agenda set. So we need to be very careful on how this is done. But Dele Alaki has come out to say categorically the president did not approve any type of increment for any office holder, and if it does happen, they'll be the first to know. Okay.
So the NAFDAC, National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control Director General, Professor Christiana Adeyeyi, has come to say that the noodles produced within Nigeria have the right safe amount of mycotoxin and heavy metals, are within international acceptable rates and therefore safe for consumption. This, they said, was because they did a recall of the Malaysia and Taiwan Indomie instant noodle special chicken flavor, that because those contain high level presence of ethyl oxide compound associated with increased risk of cancer, and that the samples that were taken confirmed it in those particular ones, but those chemicals are not in the Nigerian local noodles, and so the Nigerian local noodles are safe for consumption, and that they've done a robust investigation covering other instant noodle brands within Nigeria besides the Indomie brand, and all of them were
So we
found.
should not allow the importation of those noodles.
Exactly, since we have enough locally.
SON.
Okay.
Work on that.
The Nigerian Tribune, let's find a story of not taking polio immunization. Bill Gates commits $7 billion at meeting with Shettima and governors. PEPC, INEC deleted FCT presidential election results on Beavers, witness alleges. NLC kicks against electricity tariff hike. Oyo lawmakers worry over surge in kidnappings, killings to convene security summit. Appeal court reinstates ex-NIA DG Dauda. No approval for salary increase for political office holders, presidency says. 10th National Assembly, North Central, South lawmakers, 4 majority leader juicy committees. And missing Titanic submersible crew confirmed dead after catastrophic implosion.
Yes, I have Bill Gates, Aliko Dangote, and the governors with our vice president met and had a conversation concerning the foundation's support to immunization against polio in Africa. The American billionaire is committing $7 billion over a 4-year period to Africa, not just Nigeria, to the whole of Africa, you know, for this cause. They said that first on Monday he had met with the president as part of the program to learn from partners helping to address polio, anemia, and other health threats. Also, scientists applying research to develop agricultural innovations that will help with food security and climate adaptation, innovators using technology to improve access to financial services, and others working to improve lives in Niger and Nigeria and throughout the continent. They said that Bill Gates was also, and his team were also scheduled to meet with national and regional leaders. This is to encourage them to make investments and advance policy that will promote innovation and provide equitable opportunity despite challenges in economic situations. I also like the fact that they're also hoping to meet with students and young leaders so that they can gather insights and share perspective on how science and innovation can accelerate positive change and contribute to a brighter outlook for Africa. The vice president also assured that the government will address concerns that surrounding financing of primary health care system in our country.
Because, you know, there are a lot of controversies whenever we're getting funds from these people, and the fact that when they give you something, there's always like a conversation around how do we have entrance to your economy. We might be giving something, and we should be sure that what we're giving is not going to cost us too much, considering what we're getting.
But I like the fact they said they're going to be talking to students and young leaders to gather insight. So sometimes when we make these policies, the young ones too are part of it. You'll be surprised the sort of information you can get from the young ones.
All right, we have to wrap up. I think that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we return, move on to our topic of the day. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The one who can make time stand still forever, Mr. Kelechi Amadi. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, my brother.
You love that intro, Abi?
Yeah. It was great.
Okay,
Thank you.
We try like that.
Thank you.
Now my question, which I feel is a cheap question.
Oh, go ahead.
What does ISO stand for?
That is it. I think I'll drink.
No, you're joking.
I'm not joking.
Kelechi Amadi. No. Shay, you didn't whine me. You're whining me now.
I think I'll drink.
Huh?
No problem.
Okay.
I've always known it as ISO. I never bothered to know what it means. I know what it means, but I never bothered to know what the acronym is. Tell me the brand of camera that I use, so much so that I even became an ambassador. That's very easy. Very It's out there.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
I just said, look, make I give you this one as a token of my appreciation.
Sony.
Drink!
Wait, I'm not done. You did not say final answer.
It's final answer.
You did not ask me if that was my final
You don't
answer.
have any choice again. It's only
Nikon.
how many cameras do they have? My
Nikon.
friend to drink. I gave you a very easy something.
Nikon now. Ladies and gentlemen, please help welcome to the show, La General, the one and only Pere Egbe. Which of the following is false about teeth? We are born with 20 primary teeth. Teeth are the hardest substance in the body. Teeth are the strongest bones in the body.
Teeth is not a bone, actually.
Teeth can self-repair.
The strongest bone in the body, no. Teeth is not a bone.
Final answer?
Teeth is not a bone. You know what came to my head now? That sound. Crickets.
So, editor, you can put that cricket sound there. As you can still put it down too.
When was the first Gulda ultimate search? Editor?
Don't put any cricket sound. I'm talking. Okay, Pere. How many times has Ghana qualified for the World Cup?
5 times. Hey, but you can't do that now.
That's what it is.
Wait. Calm down. Why are you like this?
This is your team.
Small play now.
They will not
Somebody cannot play with you again.
They will not be impressed though. The team that you're supporting and
Ghana will be alright.
Yeah, that's last.
Charlie? Cheers, Charlie.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports,
Thanks for staying with us. Now we discuss our hot topic. The Lagos State University LASU Ojo has, for the first time in 40 years history, produced its first graduate with a perfect score 5.0 cumulative grade point average. And the graduates who set the new academic record is here with the ladies in the studio. Welcome with us, Amina Yusuf in the building. Good to have you.
Thank you, Ma.
We know Nima Akashati would love to be here right now, but she's not here. But you know, the reason why this was so personal to Nima, because she's from Esako, Edo State as you. She went to your school, last school, and you studied the same, studied law. So it was like, it was personal to her, and she told the world, and she kept telling the world, even though the world was already celebrating you, but even the ladies had to draw their attention to, who is this person? But congratulations, we're proud of you. We know that it's not easy feat. And let me ask you the same question everybody has been asking for the past few days. How did you do it?
Yeah. How does somebody get 5.0?
How?
How? I think I was dedicated.
Okay.
My both parents have really made so much sacrifice. Like, education seems to be the only thing on their table. Like, other than the basic feeding, rent, it's just education. I was not very good in mathematics. Any single textbook on maths, my daddy bought.
Wow.
So that, I think I have like 10 maths textbooks. Every single textbook he gets to buy. Wow. So they are not very, financially they are not okay. So seeing them make so many sacrifices, and you know, in a family from that kind of background, we experience some sort of embarrassment that, you know, your parents would naturally not deserve. So I just needed to.
Sure.
Like,
when did this start? When did your parents start this pressure to get you to study? At what age?
My life.
Wow.
Primary school. I went to hostel secondary school, Alikwa College. It's a boarding school, and I was there just on through SS3. Wow. I didn't even write JSS3. So it was like, he just had his way of making me exceptional. Every single time, I went to boarding school, but every single time I came home, my daddy was, all of my notes, he would edit, he's a journalist. Okay. So he goes through from the nation, he goes through every single line. Wow. It's very detailed. Complains to the teacher at every opportunity he gets. So everybody in Alikwa knows him well. So it's a very, very...
Was there any time growing up, because of how he was with you, did you at any time feel uncomfortable with that? Did you try to fight it? Okay, so you've just always accepted it?
Yeah, just at that level I understood that parents have different approach.
Okay.
But it's the intention that counts. I know that what he did, he loved me and wanted the best. That's just how he knew how to, you know, express himself, and so it was not a problem.
So here I'm looking at you with hijab, and I know that Nima has always been an hijab rights advocate. She's always spoken up about the fact that the hijab doesn't cover the brain, because many people feel like if you wear hijab, you're being dominated, and so this was not just a win for you. This was a win for every Muslimah wearing hijab, because for them, see, our hijab does not cover our brain. We can wear hijab and be smart. What was the feeling you got from that? As in, how has the response been to your success, and how everybody is using you as
the hijabite community
for the hijabite community?
It's somehow shocking. Because a day before the press conference, my friend told me, once this your 5.0 thing is out, you're going to be a very popular person. I'm like, in academics. This is not entertainment. Let's move on to the next goal. This is in the past. And so the following day, I was so surprised. I wrote an article when I was 18 years doing diploma about Firdaus Amasa. You know, Firdaus was not allowed to, you know, because she...
Yes.
Yeah. So I was just giving an opinion on the nation that this is not right, considering...
You dug it out.
Hijab right activist.
So you have not become it.
So I'm overwhelmed. Some persons called me from Egypt, UK, Saudi Arabia, Malaysia. Someone even called me from Egypt crying.
That's why it's important that we must understand the enormity of what you've done. It's not just about the 5.0. It's like you represent a huge population of Nigerians from across the world. Nigerians who are human beings who wear hijab. And it's important that people know and respect you for your accomplishment. Let's talk about the fact that you're a law you're a law graduate, because there was always this debate of how does a hijabite lawyer dress? You know, that whole, do they wear hijab in courts and stuff like that? Really has been very, very controversial back and forth. What's your own opinion on that, and how do you think governments can begin to change perception, especially to hijabites?
Hijab is just interesting. I don't know, personally, I don't know why there's so much interest in that topic.
Yeah.
Once you are brilliant, regardless of, and the thing is, I need to let every hijab sister know this. Forget about the controversy and just do your best. There was a time when one of our lecturers, Dr. Loko, she's a Christian, she said, I told her, Mom, I'm really concerned. I want to do my best. I want to strive hard. But with this hijab thing, she said, Amina, keep on wearing your hijab, but keep on doing the best thing you can. You will eventually be accepted with even a full kimono. And so, the day after the press conference, the biggest law firm in Nigeria called me. When I told her I was coming to your view, she was so happy. Please let me follow you. I need to see Nima. And she's a Christian. Right. And Nima is on hijab. So it's more about the individual than the government. Forget about what people say. Just do your best.
So you're so young, and the way you speak, you seem wise beyond your years, as they say it. And I'm wondering, I know you've given us a little background, you know, at home. What else would you say has helped you to form this confident young lady? Was it the study in law, or was it just really home? Or you were just born like this?
Secondary school.
Okay.
Wow.
I went to Al-Hikmah College. And it was more of a personal thing to the teachers than it was just, you know, most schools, they are concerned about their image.
Right.
But Al-Hikmah was more concerned about the development of the students.
Right.
The funniest thing is, I graduated BGS in Lasso. One department in Faculty of Science. The students who graduated, they was also from Al-Hikmah College. And then I think 2 departments, 2020-2021 session, the BGS in a department in Faculty of Science is from my school, in fact, my state. So there are about 3 of us that graduated as BGSs from Al-Hikmah College.
When you say BGS, you know,
yes, best graduate student.
Because the people watching.
Okay, best graduate student. Sorry. So we've always been nurtured. We do moral instruction in school. Okay. Moral instruction is not even recognized, but it's a school thing. You know, the school believes that you have to be good academically, fine, but that is not enough to build a character.
Right.
Yeah, so I give it to them.
So what's the future for Amina? What's the next step? So now obviously you have job offers on the table. You can pick and choose. You know, governors are telling you cash here and there. What's the next step? I hope you're not here.
I have to say that, please. Prior to this experience,
yes,
it was immediately after law school with Jackpot. That was like my intention. Yes. But looking at the way Nigerians celebrate for just law students across Nigeria.
Right.
Okay. So the goal is to take them through compulsory courses in law.
Right.
Like all compulsory courses from 100 to 500 level. And the reason I'm doing this is because you realize in accounting, economics, and some science courses, they even have movies. I'm reading and someone is watching a movie beside me, telling me it's related to virology. Yeah. And I feel that that's kind of, that's a better way to understand certain topics.
It makes it easier.
Yes, it makes it easier. So one of my goals, just to give back to law students across Nigeria, is to create a YouTube channel.
How was studying like? You know, some people are watching now, they would also like their daughter to do law. How was it really difficult? You know how you hear this, studying in Nigeria is so difficult, university in Nigeria is so difficult, you're reading with Kandu and everything. Is it really that bad, or they're just overreacting?
It's actually fun for me. I studied sometimes 18 hours a day.
Wow.
Sometimes in 2 days I might do nothing else other than maybe I wake up, observe Salat, eat, pray, and I'm with the book. I just enjoy it. Wow. So I think it starts with developing interest in anything.
Wow.
Once you have that interest, it's like a novel. The only social thing, one of the only things I do socially, I mean on social media, is watch Your View.
Really? Oh, that's cool. Please, that's huge.
You have to play that over and over.
Instagram, I'm not really on Instagram, Twitter, because it's time consuming. But I'm on LinkedIn because that's a lot more professional. You get opportunities on LinkedIn. But Facebook, I don't even know how to operate Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Fantastic.
Because
my shoulder is rising. I feel like my younger sister is here making me proud.
But YouTube, always, I don't think there's a video of your view I've not watched.
Oh, wow.
I'm serious. I enjoy it so much.
So good to have you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
This is huge, and it's the world is there for you. Is your oyster. There's so much you can do. I mean, we're celebrating you, but look at the opportunities, and we'll always be here to guide you all the way at the best you can. I know Nima is probably going to screaming through her TV screen right now. But definitely, she's also very proud of you. I mean, she was been screaming it and she's shouting it. And this is beyond the hijab for Nima. It's also the fact that you're just like her. You're from her community, and you went to her school, you studied her course. It's like an entire path.
And I have to even say something about Nima. We've met before.
Ah, nice.
Last week, she came to see one of our professors. And I was like, and I love her.
Yeah.
So we have to take pictures with Nima. And she took pictures, like a celebrity.
Yeah.
And I was like, very
really
soon.
Cool. Fantastic.
Her anointing rubbed off on
Yeah. All right, that's all we can take. Thank you so much, Amina, for joining us. We're going to break now. When we come back, move on to the next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, comedian of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Benga Dainka the First. OJ right here, 7 of 7, like you already know.
Benga right here, 7 of 7, like I'm beginning to know.
It's now time for the question.
You don't scare me one bit. Bata, I go drink. So,
okay. So now one chance for Inter. My first question. Do you remember the names of the winners of that edition of StarQuest?
Of course I do.
Why do you?
And I hate myself for this, because I have this question for you. Final question. No. Where outside Nigeria and what year? Think you're the only one that can be wicked.
I am thinking, because I know back in the day.
Don't think. Answer my question quick. You are thinking too much. I don't like it.
The UK.
Final answer. Okay. I said, God, please, let me to perform outside Nigeria.
Wait.
And God gave me a show in Ghana. Drink, my friend, drink. I don't
overthink this thing. See where I can.
Yes, you overthink them.
I would say you should catwalk.
Let's catwalk. Where are we?
No, that's not catwalking.
That's good talking.
Ladies and gentlemen, actor, producer, ambassador of Edo people, we have Etinosa Idemudia in the building.
Not be first to go police station, they win the case.
So
you are showing yourself.
I go see as my second question.
You are feeling like a contact the prancing peacock. I'm about to cut your wings. Hello. Now, in the amalgamation of 1914, who was the woman who drew the line of the amalgamation? Who cut the report? Who is the person that used scissors? What is his name?
That woman.
You have done me dirty. I've marked your face. If anything happened to me today, if I don't reach my house. Anyway, I'm gonna be chauffeured, so.
You remember now, Abby? Yeah, but you never too thin. Now you remember.
Hey.
If a person who indulges habitually in watching a sexual material is called a voyeur.
That's what they're called.
You clearly say you don't go even get the next one.
Hey, a voyeur.
Voyeur.
Then go on.
What is a person who makes one
a
called?
Voyeur. A voyagist. A bon voyage.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw ether material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known, for when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century, speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help welcome to the show, La General, the one and only Pere Egbe. Which of the following is false about teeth? We are born with 20 primary teeth. Teeth are the hardest substance in the body. Teeth are the strongest bones in the body.
Teeth is not a bone, actually.
Teeth can self-repair.
The strongest bone in the body, no. Teeth is not a bone.
Final answer?
Teeth is not a bone. You know what came to my head now? That sound. Crickets.
So, editor, you can put that cricket sound there. You can still put it down too.
When was the first Gulda ultimate search? Editor?
Don't put any cricket sound. I'm talking. Okay, Pere.
Thanks for staying with us. Today we're discussing a very important topic, a topic that affects many homes, many marriages, many communities, but we hardly talk about it, and it is alcoholism. The reason why this is important is because we get so many messages from different people complaining about the fact that they have spouses who are drunks, whose this habit, how it affects their family, how it emotionally drains some people, constantly having to wait up late for a spouse who's coming, get a call from his friends in the bar, having to pick him up or having him to embarrass or throw up. It's quite disheartening. You know, you've seen a few of these stories happen a lot, and at some point we still have to bring in a psychologist or someone to help us get direction on how to deal with an alcoholic in our home. But this morning we'd like to open our phone lines to even see and weigh how prevalent it is in our society. So let's get call in to share their own personal stories who get public display of their alcoholism. You can call us on 081-270-53687, 09139076948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read the tweets. Stories of this, a lot of people understand drinking alcohol for them has never been a problem. You know that it's something that is done casually. But when issues of life come in, you know, when things happen, people just kind of begin to depend on the alcohol. And then it gets to the point of no return, where they can become alcoholics. And we know of stories where people, that's one major albatross on the head of different people. How do we overcome it? I know we're not psychologists, but I'd like you to share your own stories. If you heard the stories or know of anybody who's been an alcoholic, managing an alcoholic in their home, how do you think they can begin to start a conversation to get help? You know, Nigerian people we don't like to seek help. You know, we just have to pray about it and pray that the alcoholic demon will come out. But we don't take the right steps to heal these people of this condition.
What you just threw out, I went to the page of Dr. Shola, who posted this, and the first comment I saw was, "This is a spiritual attack." Yeah. And when we spiritualize problems like this, we don't get to solve the problems at all. We abdicate responsibility.
The divine.
This is a divine thing. It's a spiritual matter. Let us start praying to be sure of what is going on. But alcoholism is it's a real problem. It's a threat to people's lives. And there are people that are casual drinkers and they are addicts, and there are those that have alcoholism, a chronic disease. So there is alcoholism, a chronic disease where people cannot function without being under the influence of alcohol. They are always drinking, and they have to drink a constant, huge amount to be able to function. And then the functioning period is very short. And then there are those that are occasional drinkers, and a few times when they're among friends, it gets out of control. I had a friend who was a lawyer when I was really young, who said every time he has like 2 cups of even red wine, he would just literally pass out. Yeah. So there are people that their body cannot even take it, and some people will feel like, my body is so good, I can finish 1 bottle of 21-year-old something alcohol and they will still be fine. So there's the health implication of alcohol on the body. There's the psychological implication of alcohol on the person and the people around them. And then there's the fact that it destroys lives. So if we are dealing with the health implication, is the fact that you can have people that consume alcohol tend to have liver problems, kidney problems, all of those. Then the psychological effect in that people cannot, like the case of this person, said the man has lost his job, people lose their jobs, and then the emotional effect on the family. The woman is unable to cope, having to see your husband vomiting, or your husband doesn't come home. Some people go and find their husbands in the middle of the night. Like, okay, where is he now? They said he fell in the gutter somewhere. Okay, let's drag him, pour water on his face, drag him to the house. And the daughter said, the woman said her daughter locked herself up in the house, embarrassed that my father is a disgrace. So in dealing with all of this, sometimes spirituality might help us to cope. But the real thing is to call out the issues for what it is. Get professionals to help you.
Let me come to you, Mariam. Your thoughts on this alcoholism?
My real thought is, do we have Alcoholics Anonymous here in Nigeria? I don't know. Maybe because I don't know any alcoholics. So I don't know if there are clinics or therapy where people can go to address the issue. But first of all, is that you need to recognize that you have a problem. Yes. A lot of people have said that for many people, it's just not a bad behavior. They said it's almost a disease because you feel like your life depends on it, like you cannot function without it. So these are people that sometimes, for some of them, is that they are aware of the dangers. They are aware that they're embarrassing themselves and their families. They are aware of the cost it has on them, on their livelihood, on their careers, but they just cannot stop. So people like that need help. But also, I guess, in this particular situation, we're talking of a wife who is saying, what do I do? The question, you know, and question I think she's asking, maybe she didn't want to use the word, is, do I leave him? Because he's a drunkard. But when he's not drinking, maybe he's a good father, he's this, but then he has this bad habit where he drinks. Do I leave him for that? And if I don't leave him, how do I live with him? I think that's what she's asking. And honestly, from some of the things I see on videos and people complaining, many people tend to insist that person gets help. And it's a huge battle.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to work it out. It will cost you financially, mentally, emotionally. It's a huge battle. It affects also the children that you're raising. You're afraid that your children will not see this and pick it up as a, as the way to live their lives. Some children, even interestingly, would grow up hating a parent that does that and find themselves in adulthood doing exactly what they hated in their parents. So I guess spouses will be asking, do I just keep living with this person, walk through it, and hopefully this does not affect my children, or do I take myself out? I would say that that person needs to take some time away from the house. I'm not calling the D word, but that person needs to, for the well-being of your family, for the well-being of the children that you're raising. And the person also needs to understand that it may cost me my family, it may cost, this is something that will cost me everything I love and I cherish, and I'll have to do something about it. So for her, I think, have that conversation with this person. And
you said something earlier, because alcoholism is actually a disease. So by definition, it's a chronic disease characterized by uncontrolled drinking and preoccupation with alcohol. And there are various ways of getting this treated. One of the things is understanding the triggers. Something is leading you, because there's a casual drinking, but then something triggers it. Now my question, therefore, for somebody a woman who's thinking, am I the trigger? Am I the one stressing you to cause? People always feel that they blame themselves, that I'm the one causing you, am I the one stressing you? So they feel responsible to fixing the problem, because they feel like maybe it's because of us, we're the ones causing this problem, making you drink. Okay, maybe we can help. And the truth is that women must understand that you cannot. It might not be you. There's something else triggering, and then he has to go through proper detoxification. And I hear that the medications for this, therapy, support system. There's got to be a bunch of men coming together and say, I am an alcoholic, I admit it, and I'm going to fix it. We see this is a movie. It looks like it's just a movie thing.
Partners, they have sponsors.
There must be a deliberate action towards fixing that problem.
Before our viewers call us out that we're using
only men.
The story that we are extreme was written by a woman from a woman's perspective. Of course, we know that there are some women who are also alcoholics, and but in Nigeria, the prevalence obviously tilts towards men. Not that women don't do it, it tilts towards men. And so we're trying to help the women in this situation who are dealing with husbands who are always getting drunk. Now, you mentioned something very strong, the trigger. And that's like, life is about cause and effect. For every effect, there's a cause. There is something you are doing that puts you in the situation that makes that effect happen. So if we are seeing the result of somebody being drunk all the time, it could be maybe you are always hanging around friends that drink and can have capacity to handle or know when to stop. But you don't have the capacity, you don't have the self-control and the discipline to stop at a bottle. So you hang out with your friends drink 2 bottles, they are very okay, they stand up, they go. Once you start that one, it is until you reach 30, you finish 1 crate before you're able to, when you cannot stand up again, and they drag you away from the bar or that kind of thing. So you must be able to know, am I hanging out with people that are triggering me? Or is it when I get angry at work that triggers me? Or is it when I quarrel with my spouse that triggers me? We start with taking responsibility, understanding you have a problem, and then tracing what is the cause that is leading to you having this effect of being hooked on alcohol.
Yes. Right, we're going to go on a break. When we come back, the other issues we've not talked about, the financial burden of alcoholism, the emotional unavailability, and constant fear and anxiety of the family. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
A peak protein breakfast.
Ladies and gentlemen, multiple award-winning actor, producer, ambassador of Edo People, we have Etinosa Idemudia in the building.
Not be first to go police station, they win the case.
Is
So
she?
you are showing yourself.
I go see as my second
you are
question.
feeling like a contact the prancing peacock. I'm about to cut your wings. Hello. Now, in the amalgamation of 1914, who was the woman who drew the line of the amalgamation? Who cut the report? Who is the person that used scissors? What is his name?
That woman.
You have done me dirty. I've marked your face. I've marked your face. If anything happened to me today,
I don't
I don't reach my house. Anyway, I'm gonna be chauffeured, so.
You remember now, Abby? Yeah, but you never too thin. Now you remember.
Hey.
If a person who indulges habitually in watching a sexual material is called a voyeur,
That's what they're called.
You clearly say you don't go even get the next one.
Hey, a voyeur.
Voyeur.
Then go on.
What is a person who makes one
A
call?
voyeur. A voyagist. A bon voyage.
Ikechukwu Sunday Okonkwo, aka Cross. Now your intro without
Wow.
So there's a name that thing that's.
I'm just drinking because you say I should drink. There's no particular answer.
I think it's only that can be wicked.
What's the answer?
Subterfuge.
Eh?
Yeah. They claim you did, but you said it just happened. That
And it's called what again?
Subterfuge.
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 So you look me finish from head to toe. You look at a person who go know what to become such. Yeah?
The nude wasn't like a game plan.
I promise you, it was actually a mistake. Like it was sending it to someone, and it just mistakenly just.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw ether material slabbed, stroked, and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move weigh in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing alcoholism, and this is a topic we hardly talk about. You know, many people don't even know how to go about it. And I don't want us to discountenance the spiritual angle, because I know you want to say that I'm being mommy-Jew, but there are some good people that the truth is that they are not depressed, they're not unhappy, they don't have any life issues, but it's just that once they take that cup, from one cup, they begin to have problems. So there's a possibility that there's a spiritual part of this conversation that we're not talking about.
No, Mariah. Physiologically, maybe they cannot handle a lot of alcohol. Yeah. Everybody is different. We have different thresholds.
One cup will make you drunk?
Yeah. Yes. There are some people that cannot. There are some people that dare not take a cup because it will mean their death. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's how God has created them. So you need to know. But one thing I want to say is that, you know, even starting is that for us while we were growing up,
alcohol drinking was glamorized on TV. They used to do all those adverts, and then you see the really classy ladies. So you were waiting for when you two be old enough to just hold that glass. And, but we know differently now because we now know the health implications. So for a lot of us, when we became adults, it was a choice not to for the health implications. Or for some of us, you tasted it for the first time and thought, what is it that adults like about this bitter thing, you know? And so you were saved, not because you were even morally upright, but maybe you didn't like the taste or something, so you got out of it. The thing is, we need to, for the young ones now, they need to understand that you don't even start it at all. It's a bad habit that people tend to have. You know, when you're saying we should not remove spirituality, you can have a good, you can even have a spiritually vibrant person who has a bad habit. Tasted alcohol and then has used it a few times to de-stress, and before you know it has become a habit that
some will argue that that's why it's important for you to take alcohol as a young person, so that when you grow older, because I mean, I think it was somebody was like when I was 16, when my sister-in-law at the time was trying to make me understand different drinks and all that. I was almost 18, I think, actually. So she was saying, listen, let me give you a home now, so you know it. So when you go out, you can tell the difference, and you ask, you know, you are very clear. Nobody can bamboozle you on drinking. So that for me was educating me. But a lot of young people in our country we don't educate them. They find out outside at parties by themselves. No parents will sit you down and tell you what Hennessy, what's there in Hennessy and red wine and white wine.
So that worked for you, fine and good. There's some people that got that same treatment and still went ahead, and they were, you know, indulging in it. Because, again, we're talking about alcoholism as a disease. So there's bad habits, we know that, but then there's some people that it's a disease, they cannot control themselves. In fact, I hear that they say French children from very early on, they are drinking with their family because, you know, in small quantities, they are taught how to classily and tastefully drink alcohol so that when they grow up, they don't become drunkards. I'm sure there are drunk people in France.
Yes, of
course. There are drunk French people, even though with that sort of home training. But it has to do, apart from the bad habits, also has to do with your psychological or your mental state. We have people who are hooked on drugs today. For me, it's all part of the same thing. There's some people who cannot do without smoking cigarettes. It's all part of addiction, that disease of addiction. There's some people, it's not those things that they're addicted to, it's sugar. They cannot get off sugar. No matter how it affects their health, they still cannot get off. Some people have been told they have diabetes. And they will if you take another gram of sugar, I'm sorry for you. They're like, I'd rather go, you know. So it's that disease. We hope that we have communities, we have clinics, we have therapists that can help people walk through that. And people need to acknowledge, I have a problem and these are the places I can go.
Talking about communities, because I'd like us to address the issue of the boy code or the men code. Because you have your friend who is a drunk, who is an alcoholic, but instead of you to tell him help or to tell him, you just did, oh boys, you hang out, just chill, and you just trivialize it. And when he's drunk, you carry him home, you take him home, and you be okay. But you move on, you have your own. So we need to see how men can really help each other, because many of them don't talk.
I think we should have male callers who've gone through these experiences. But I also feel strongly that you would hear it better not from your wife. In most cases, it is your friends that will tell you, Bobs, this thing you don't do too much. And if we don't call it out like that, if your friends don't help you call out your bad habits, you know, there was a time. So I told a friend, I was hanging out with my husband, and I saw a friend, an older friend that was with a woman and was not his wife, and all of us knew it was not his wife, which is why he does not take me to those kind of gatherings anymore. I told him, you're not being a good friend. Like, you know that he has a wife, and you will not call him out and tell him that this thing you're doing is wrong. So since then, when he has some anger to say this is not where wives go, I know that it's because there are some of his friends there that will be hanging out with somebody that is not their wife. So, but why can't you let your
that's the boy
have that conversation? You need to have that conversation that every time you start, you don't start again. No, this bottle will go turn to 5. You won't be able to stand again. Let's help each other in love, because we don't have that community. And when we watch movies, the way they help each other, they do this intervention.
Support group,
you will see, intervention. You call all the family members, friends, and say, let's have a conversation. You have a problem, and you need to admit you have a problem. What do they do at Alcoholics Anonymous? They make you say it over and over again, acknowledging you have a problem, because it starts from you taking responsibility before you can achieve any sizable change. But let's even talk about the fact that many people are left to deal with the damage the alcoholic does. People are left to cope. The wife is left to cope, embarrassed every time, dragging the husband after a party. The children are left to cope with the fact that, oh, daddy is at home, he started drinking. Let me take my friends to the other room. Because you know, once your friends start drinking, things might go bad. Should I even talk about the weddings I've attended? I was a makeup artist for weddings, and I've gone for weddings where the man, the father of the bride, got drunk on the wedding day and was causing major embarrassment to the entire family, in disgracing the family, the child that is getting married. So these things have huge impact, and we're not addressing
in this part of the world. We just cover our problems.
Yes.
We just don't let the whole world know.
So now it's spiritual. Let's go and pray for the person to do deliverance. It's not a spiritual or deliverance thing, and I understand that there are things that are spiritual, but the one of alcoholism is not somebody that sent you to be drinking as a way to embarrass your family.
There are demons in charge of this.
It's not a demon that takes over your system.
Okay, everything has a demon.
Yes. But one thing is that we know that Jesus is all powerful. So if it's a demon, you should go away immediately.
Immediately you pray.
But you were saying something about friends enabling.
Yeah.
But there are some people. One thing I've noticed with these addictions and addicts is even when their close friends stop supporting or enabling them, even when they decide, you know what, I've spoken to this person a long time, I'm going to take myself away from him, maybe they find their kind.
Yes.
So you go and find a group of alcoholics,
like
a group of addicts like you, and then become the same bad people. So the spiritual part will be, no matter what it is, whatever physical or mental therapy you're getting, that somebody is also praying for you on the side. So that's the only part of the spiritual that I would say.
Absolutely.
We know that prayer works for everything. There's a part also for a person that's married that we should talk about, which is the intimacy. So the reason I'm bringing this intimacy part up is a lot of people started this habit because they thought it was cool. They thought they looked nice, they were able to drink so much alcohol. We know that young men do that. They brag amongst themselves how much alcohol they can.
Down 2 bottles.
But they forget, after they finish bragging with you, they go home and they cannot be intimate with their spouses. And it's a big problem. So you need to know that there are consequences for that kind of lifestyle. So even if you're able to drink and get up the next day and still go to work and still earn a living, how about your relationship with your partner? Is that suffering because of it? Anything that harms you, harms those around you, that causes unhappiness, that takes away from your joy, that takes away from your partner's joy, that takes away from the well-being of your family, there's no need to indulge in it. It's not cool. It may look cool outside because people outside don't really care about you, but where it matters, how does it affect those that matter? So that I hope that people are thinking that way.
I'd really like to take a few calls, but I'm telling you, calls are not coming in yet, but I'll really
There's a very dramatic story I saw under the Dr. Shola's post. Somebody said, this is the cure, that many women will not be able to do it, but he's recommending it that somebody stop drinking when it happened, that when the husband comes home, partner with a morgue, a mortuary, carry the man in that drunken state into the mortuary and leave him in the morgue. He will get cold and he will startle awake among dead people. Then he will be like, I'm not dead. What is he doing in the mortuary? That you tell the mortuary attendant to say, you are dead, you are dead. You will soon join them. Let me just let you stay here. Since you're always drunk, you will soon join them. And that let him suffer that trauma for a while, that they've had it happen with someone and the person never went back to alcohol again because he woke up amongst dead people in a mortuary, in a morgue. Now, it's a very drastic action, but it is not more drastic than somebody saying, oh, your husband is going to drink outside. Why don't you buy the beer for him and put it inside the fridge so that he will be drinking it at home instead of drinking it outside? People were advised to do that now, that if your husband is always going to drink outside, put the drink for him inside the house. That's also, for me, a drastic measure, but you might sometimes need to shock people into getting the result you want, because if you don't take ownership, some people die from these things.
Yeah, or kill people.
Like, they kill others.
Let me take this call from Kelechi. Good morning, Kelechi. Thanks for calling. You're live. Go ahead.
Before I do it, I want to suggest something to you, but before I want to tell you this number is being switched off. Maybe that's why the phone is not coming.
Okay.
You should leave it for a longer time.
Okay, that's one. Number two, I want to suggest spirituality. I said our kids are making us dry with this issue, with this concept. Before Christianity was introduced into Africa, we have been dealing with the issue of spirituality. So I would like to hear the thoughts of your ladies, because you have very good language. So I want to hear them.
Thank you. It's really hard to hear you, Kelechi, but I think I get it. We should discuss the concept of spirituality. Maybe that is when introduced into Africa, and I guess I can understand where he's coming from. Also, we've kind of
So for me, that's an option, and people can. If you have the liver to try it out, you might try it out. It might be able to be a shock therapy that would lead to change in your partner. But I just feel for.
So we don't have enough data in this our country to be able to know. You know how abroad they always give you numbers and figures. You have to know who and who, how many percentage of Nigerians. Let's talk about women for a moment. That there are alcoholics. There are women. We don't have these numbers.
One of the most lucrative business in Nigeria is the beer parlor.
Yes.
Every corner, every house, there's a bar, there's a beer parlor. Everywhere you turn. I went to Benin one time and I was like, what's going on? Like is it that everybody is drinking? Everybody, almost every 2 houses you see canopy and joints.
But you see, I was going to say, you find that, but I can't prove it because I don't even have the data. But it seems that those who are exposed to alcohol early in life
might not be.
Are probably the ones that don't become alcoholics because they don't see it as a big deal. Those who have been shielded, because some alcoholics we know, all their life they've been shielded. They have never tasted alcohol. They have never. It's like we make it look so. We demonize it so much that when these kids get out, they start to crave it.
So for me, I would not say you're right. We don't crave, and the shame or the embarrassment it has caused. So for those people, they have seen what it can do. Then there are those that you're right, where it's been demonized. It's such a secret. Just talking about it, you may get you in trouble. So you decide, okay, I'm going to go and experiment. But in your experimentation, you're doing it with people who have no idea about, or who don't care about your well-being, about self-control, about how much of it you should take, or the times that you should take it. So it's not necessarily because someone has hidden it from you. It's that you've not learned the principles of life in addressing that particular issue. There are many things that we do that are just for fun. They are hobbies. If we do them just a little bit, we can get away with it. But if we've never been taught how, even with eating food, do you know there are some people that cannot, they have to eat a whole bowl of food.
And some eat until they vomit.
I met someone, she says that the reason why at the time she was a fitness trainer, and she said that this was something she had to work on. And she realized that as a child, she was fed large quantities of food. And she always thought it was okay, that it was as an adult. When she started seeing other people eat just a little portion, the portion that was enough for them, she thought that you are meant to eat until you are falling off the chair. But she now learns that, self-control in everything. Yeah. So sometimes that's the lesson that we maybe have.
We'll be bringing in Mr. Theo Akatugba always to shed more light on this because he's a man and hopefully he can shed some light. But once he gets in, I'll let you know.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about what you said, which is getting that self-control generally thing. In recent time, Bisi was talking about how she stayed away from food for a number of hours, and just because she just wants to try it out. And I was just laughing because that has been my model for a long time. If I feel like I'm wearing wristwatch and the day I don't wear, everybody's like, what's going on? Why are you not wearing wristwatch? And I feel like I'm having withdrawal symptoms from not doing something, I give myself a break because I just don't want to be addicted to anything. And it is, that's your style too. It's something that we must teach ourselves, that nothing is going to be, I'm not going to be hooked to this thing, that I'm now going to be like a slave to something. I don't want to be a slave to anything. I'm a human being, I'm meant to control. That must be something we must inculcate in our children. The ability to say no, that I'm not going to do this thing. Delayed gratification. There are small things, but when you put it as strong values and character traits in children, the benefits are numerous that we don't know. It will help them in able to handle drugs. I was shielded extremely from drugs or alcohol in every form. And when I was able to grow up enough to drink it, I drank, but I always knew like I understood that there was a room for stop. Yeah. I'm not going to say because I'm drinking it and because it's everywhere. I'm not drinking again. Yeah. I will not.
Okay. Let me take a call from Temilola. Good morning, Temilola. Thanks for calling.
Good morning, Mariah.
Good morning. Go ahead, you're live.
All right. Good morning. And I want to congratulate you for your 10th year anniversary.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I want to say a big word on you guys. You are the only, this is the only program that I watch on a daily basis, and I don't want to lose it at all. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you.
Concerning this topic, I want to agree with Morayo that it can be demonic, in the sense that if an habit is not being worked on as a person, the devil can capitalize on that habit and use it against you, to the point that you will not be able to control yourself again. It might be demonic, but it didn't start like that. It was an habit that was built as a person, but you didn't work on it. Then the devil comes and, take advantage of it and use it against you. So, what I want to say concerning this, there's an habit that something is becoming an habit. There's a need for you to work on it so that the devil will not use it against you. So that's what I have to say.
Right.
I mean, I was going to respond about, with drugs too. Many of us did not see the drugs. No, well, we give you a little of the drugs, but we saw the consequences. For me, I'm deathly afraid of drug addiction. And when I see drug addicts, I feel so heartbroken. Because I think what my mom did is that as a child, there was no play, no seminar, no gathering where they were talking, or movies where they were talking about drug use and how it affected people that she didn't make us watch. And I had that fear instilled in me. It was like, if you touch drug, you end up either you lose your mind or you just end up being nearly dead, And that is it also with alcohol. Are we teaching people what the problems could be? The example you give where they will say to some wives, oh, buy alcohol and put at home. So you're dealing with just the embarrassment. You don't want him to get drunk and embarrass you outside. But are you also thinking about the health of the person? Because it's not about just hiding him away. It's also that when you do take it, you may lose your life. You may lose your livelihood. You may not be able to take care of your family or be there with your family as they or we all end up in hospital trying to take care of you. Every day we're in the hospital, one liver, begging people for liver donation or organ donation. Those sort of things are important.
Okay, let me, I'm going to go on a break because I'm told we have Mr. Theo, but there's a comment I want to take from, I think it's Timei, was saying that some of the roots of alcoholism derive from deeper spousal crises that neither husband nor wife is ready to confront. A man told me he was attending a restaurant on a certain Friday evening and the men were coughing and singing and not in a hurry to go home. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
They're running away from their homes.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table. So, have you...
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded.
Thanks for staying with us. To help us with this conversation, we're going to be having a friend of the house. He's a life coach, Mr. Theo Akatugbag. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, and good morning to you, and congratulations for the milestones you have chalked.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. All right, we've been discussing alcoholism, and we've discussed a bit of the part of is a disease, and also the effects on the family, and how to control it. And we also discussed the fact that a lot of men don't seem to always try to help each other at this end. They just they indulge, their friends in alcoholism. But it's affecting homes, it's affecting families, it's affecting the children. What are your thoughts on how do we begin to address this issue of alcoholism?
Well, thank you very much. This morning is a very important topic. Now, one of the easiest what drives men into this alcoholism, apart from the fact that it's a habit that was not checked right from growing up and mixing up and networking with friends, or lack of self-control, is the fact that depression, economic challenges, failings, that are embarrassing failings can make a man to delve into alcoholism to show up his confidence or make him forget his sorrows. But alcoholism that doesn't lead to drunkenness is another matter. If you are just somebody who indulges in alcohol, you'll be damaging your health, which ultimately will reduce your lifespan, and that can be a lot of problem for the family. But those who move into drunk...
Oh, is he gone?
Right, so we have a network of big issues. I think he's still there. Okay, it's frozen, but we'll try to link up with him, but he was trying to...
And the family. So it's a very, very embarrassing situation, no doubt. And because financially, it costs confidence, it makes the children feel embarrassed. In fact, it's a huge disgrace. And that's why God Almighty said that a drunkard, of course, will not enter his kingdom. And that is to the extent that man must have self-control. But when man begins to feel inadequate, financially incapable, and he cannot confront life with his sober moment,
but Mr. Katugba, would you say, Mr. Katugba, I beg to differ just a little bit, because there are people who are successful, who are doing well. They actually have no issues in life. I mean, they have the basic stuff everybody else deals with, but they just indulge in alcohol and it gets out of control. So it's not like it's as a result of some kind of a depression. It's just a habit that they've been able to, they've not been able to stop.
I said it at the beginning that a habit unchecked.
Okay.
But don't forget, don't say you see someone looking good and then he doesn't have a problem. Some might be dealing with what you call insecurity or lack of, we call it self-esteem. A man without self-esteem might indulge in alcohol to boost his ego in the midst of his friend. Some people will take alcohol, get a bit drunk in order to do a thing that they won't do ordinarily, or they won't be able to address with their sober moment. So alcoholism and drunkenness, there are things that come as a result of many, many factors. But it is a bad thing. It affects the person's health. It affects family health, expenses. In fact, you can be sure that lifespans are reduced. It promotes diseases. So you can see the effect is far-reaching. I want to share with you a moment that I had. I took a lady, I picked a lady up on my way home, and we branched onto our street. I saw a man stagger in front of our car with the full light on. It was early in the evening. He fell head on into the water with his face on the ground. He fell into the water uncontrollably, and the woman shrunk and told me that was her husband. I was shocked. She felt so embarrassed, her husband falling into that muddy water, uncontrolled. She came down from the car and ran to help him. That sight have never left me. Very embarrassing, very disgraceful conduct. But to go through it, you need a lot of therapy. It's a very difficult area. Prayers are needed. Counselors, psychology, there are medications. It's something that's very difficult to come out of, but there's possibility that you'll come out if you're committed.
Okay, so for me, you know what, when we started this conversation, we're wondering if we had places like that here in Nigeria where alcoholics can go and get help. Like, what sort of help do we give people in Nigeria that are going through this? Apart from friends praying for you or your family members trying to hide the embarrassment, there's something we do clinically for people like that here.
Well, I am sure,
you know of
because if you look at it, there are, if you do a bit more research, there are people here with that knowledge. Other, we, of course, medical practice do not advertise themselves. And so if you search a bit more, there are solutions. In fact, you can actually access solution online. I had a friend who got solution in faraway Israel. It was a Jew that helped him. He helped him to walk through the process, and he was able to redeem himself from that abyss of alcoholism and drunkenness. Very difficult, but he succeeded somehow, and he's getting a bit more sober now. And he gets more sober for a longer period than he gets drunk.
Interesting. I want to ask you about the spirituality. You know, there's this conversation that this thing is a spiritual attack. It can be prayed away. You know, like if you go for deliverance, you can deliver someone from the spirit of alcoholism. And what do you agree or disagree?
There is nothing prayers cannot do. God Almighty is willing and able to help once you identify your fault and come to Him. He said in His word that a drunkard will not enter His kingdom. It means that it's a satanic attack. Even if witches and wizards in your domain, it's a satanic attack for a man to fall into drunkenness. And once you do so, you're already on your way out of God's kingdom. Because of such seriousness, something that can affect the salvation of man. Therefore, solution is available spiritually, no doubt.
Well, I mean, I was going to also talk about the issue of the men code, where men don't seem to like to talk about this. You know, how do we get men to actually help each other? Talkman said something earlier that many men will not listen to their wives. I mean, I hate to make this a man-woman thing, but many women will try to talk to their husbands, they don't listen. But their friends, their male counterparts, who see them taking too much alcohol, never say anything. They rather just carry their helpless self, take them to their houses and dump them, and then the cycle comes again next Friday evening. You know, so how do we get men to help each other out in this condition?
You see, there are various degrees of men. I have seen where men tell you, I can take 12 bottles and I will not move. They do it as a contest. They do it as men challenging one another. And at the end, the one that gets drunk is the one that failed today. And they take him home gallantly as the one in the wrestling game who could not stand the test of time. That is the attitude that I find in most men. They see it as fun. We're challenging one another. I'll take 12, you take 12. Let's see who goes down first. So it is in the process of having their little fun that all these feelings come. And when the man gets drunk and he saw that the period of his drunkenness, he moved into a certain plane. It's like drug abuse, where he had a certain confidence that he never had. He was able to confront things he said things he couldn't say before. He now wants to go back to it and take it once more. From once more to another time, he get hooked, and all his friends who drank 12 bottles continue to tell him, you know, we do 12. So a wise man will say, I can't do more than 2, and that's my gauge. I have a light blood. It's about self-control and wisdom, because without it, a man will always become a beast.
You know, a lot of young people, when they're growing up, peer pressure, you know, it's like, especially for young boys, this is how you show up. What would you advise, like, when you're bringing up a child? What sort of principles should you teach a child about, you know, just life that can help that person as they grow up so they don't fall?
In order for you to say that, the person will misinterpret it. Like Morayo said, those who are deprived, once they got the opportunity, those who have the tendency get worse, especially when you go to places where a lot of control measures. Now, for children, teach your children the consequence of actions. Consequence of action, the outcome of their input of what they do. When that enters their mind and sit well in their heart, whether you are there or not, those words will resonate with them. Because there's not much you can do by simply scaring them away from it. It's by telling them the consequences. giving them stories, experiences of other people, because people learn by experience, not your own experience, but the experience of others. So you must give them example. You must let them see the outcome of drunkenness, the way drunkards behave. You must show them video of what drunkards are. Look at them sleeping in the gutter. Look at the drunkard fell, had an accident. Once they begin to see that, they know that this alcohol causes this if I take it or anyone who takes it. We must teach the consequences of everything. Anywhere there's no consequence, people are always free to misbehave. Because, and then don't overly scare them. A sip of a drink can tell them, look at how it tastes. It's bitter. It's not something you should indulge in. It's health, it has no health benefit. Wisdom tells that don't indulge in it so you don't damage yourself. So you share stories with your children, share experiences with them. That will guide them more than mere blocking them from it. So that's the way I think the best way to advise our young ones today, because they are very well informed. The social media is a gog. In fact, life is full of fun in their minds. And it is in the midst of having fun. I tell you, my first drunkenness in life was as a result of they mix an alcoholic beverage with coke, with a soft.
Let me let you go, Mr. Akatugba. Thank you so much for always being the help for us in this kind of times. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you. That was Mr. Theo Akatugba. He's a life coach. Let's speak a few comments on social media. That was hilarious.
Somebody was drinking. He said when he stood up, he said, can't you see the pregnant person in the wall? That he was seeing the pregnant woman in the wall. He was like, all of you cannot see. See, a pregnant
I've never been drunk. I've never been.
So it's about you know when to stop. Yeah. It's like you feel like, okay, I'm not.
When I got tipsy, I mean, back then.
You get tipsy and then you drink water and stop.
Back in the day,
yes,
when I used to
years
drink,
ago,
at the time I would get to the point where I'm tipsy and I know it's time to stop. Right, but many people don't have that control.
So I remember.
And there's,
but was back in the day.
On national television. But the truth is that there are different grades, and if you are observant, you will know when you are getting tipsy, and you should at that point stop, drink a lot of water, and don't indulge anymore. But if you continue, you are going to be, the ground will be level in front of you.
I shared you guys with this story before also, that when I was growing up, myself and my sister then, we used to love, we used to love being in air condition with smoking, the smokers. You know, when your daddy's friends, they come and they're smoking, and there's AC, the smell was just blowing really nice. There was this coolness, you know, but they would chase you away to go. 9 p.m. news to come in, everybody goes. But we used to crave for that atmosphere. The moment we entered America like this, air conditioner, friends, you know, but after a while, you realize that you can't, so as a young person, you feel that pressure, but you must know, okay, you've now finally had it. It's time to let go of it.
As a musician, I'm just trying to remember what my influences were that helped with my own. And I'm thinking my secondary school, we used to have teachers and elders say to us that a girl from St. Louis doesn't do that. A girl from St. Louis doesn't indulge in that. So as a girl from St. Louis, I had to be above these things. So that also helped. You know, even our guests, I mean, I used to said something about our secondary school. So those sort of things also would help.
Fantastic. Let me take this call from Sunday. Good morning, Sunday. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Morning.
You're always bringing up interesting topics.
Thank you, sir.
Because down memory. I grew up with an alcoholic father back in Lagos. I just had to flashback to all those difficult times when you come back 2 a.m. It's not that he's not well to do, he has all the resources needed in the world, but I don't just know. He will come back and then he will call a meeting. 2 a.m., everybody come out. He will start addressing issues that will lead to beating of some people. And, you know, that alone for me was the lesson I needed for life. If I see people drinking alcohol, I'll feel sad for them. I'll just read how they know the implication that this and getting addicted to what will lead them into. I think that was for me the saving grace. So I would just encourage people, once you see the implication, you will drive and get to the gate, lean his head on the steering and be pressing the horn until he will come outside to open the gate for him.
Wow. Imagine that.
So I just want to share that with us.
Thank you very much, Sunday. That's an interesting story. You know, we all have different stories. Any comments on social media?
We do. Someone said, everything in moderation is key. Even the Bible said it, moderation. Another person said, there is a rich accountant in my neighborhood growing up. He goes to work in the morning, all dapper, suit, tie, well-dressed. He comes back in the evening drunk and strips himself naked.
Look at that.
And that for him was a lesson not to...
We don't talk about... Go ahead. Ajajo actually says, I'm a mixologist. I would love to contribute that alcoholic consumption in the body is good. The consumption must be moderate and not to become intoxicated. Red wine consumption in human body help effective function of our liver and kidney. Well, I would say that's your opinion, because recently I also learned that no matter how tiny the alcohol is, it affects you negatively in your body. So that's also an opinion.
That's why I will never listen to all this your research, because one day you eat this, don't eat that.
At times it is spiritually induced.
Okay.
So it is also curable spiritually. The Bible says, create in me a new heart. It's a matter of changing the brain spiritually. So, seeing people drinking alcohol or whatever, we just, be irritated to that person. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Festus.
I'm curious about that spiritually induced. Is it that someone is just lying down, doing something, and then something in their head just goes, go and have a drink, and then you go and have a drink?
Mariam, you have not watched enough home videos. Yeah. When you watch the home videos, they will carry somebody's picture to the Babalawo shrine. They will now say that they should send something to this person. Person will not be sleeping. Something just come like this, through shiny light, and it not comes. You wake up, and from that point,
not to trivialize it, but
permanently.
Not to trivialize, because this show is supposed to educate Nigerians.
Yeah.
As much as I try to balance conversations to see different perspectives, and that's why I bring up the angle of the spiritual, because I know there are Nigerians who feel
have
that way. But the reality, it's a disease that can be cured. Let us not totally blind ourselves and make it look as if it's totally spiritual. This is a disease. Alcoholism, as much as we would love to blame the spiritual, I know spiritual could possibly be, but because if we put too much weight on the spiritual, we now totally depend on prayers to do this. And when some people pray about it and nothing happens, and it's because it can be clinically detected and cured.
We have a solution here.
So as much as we appreciate the spiritual angle, let us not forget the importance of actually curing this disease, which is chronic disease that can be cured.
I'll quickly say that for any woman, any family, because it might be a woman who is married, a wife married into that situation with children, or it might be parents dealing with their child who is already a drunkard. I would say, please, you yourself need to go into therapy. You need to get a psychologist, psychiatrist, a coach to help you understand how best to manage the person who is the alcoholic, and also then now subject the alcoholic person into therapy session, because it's not something you can just feel like I can be strong and deal with it. You need help to be able to help someone else.
There's something we forgot. I think it was NDLA. I can't remember which agency that was advising that before you give your daughters into marriage or your sons into marriage,
do a drug test.
They must do drug tests. I think some governors have mentioned alcoholic test. You need to make sure, because you don't want to get married to someone, then you find that you're dealing with much more than regular marital problems. You're now dealing with addiction. You need to know before that this is what I'm about to deal with. And if you're hanging out with people, you see this guy you like, he's constantly drinking, it's not cool. I promise you, it does not age well. That drunken young boy that is feeling cool, it becomes a burden in future. So for young girls, young boys too, that girl that like that's a baddie. She holds her drink. When she becomes a wife, you will not like it. So please, let's be mindful of that.
If you're in school, you drink. I mean, listen, there's casual drinking, but you must know when to stop. Know your body. Because anything I know how to do well is know me. I am very, very crystal clear on who I am and what I can do, how far I can go. So you must know, because we can't pretend that there are not young people there drinking. There are people drinking. But please know where your limit is and stop it. Control yourself. And if you can even stop it completely, the better for you. Many of us have stopped drinking. We can reference those stories now because we've been able to go past that stage. So please, if you're young out there, know your limits and try to, as much as possible, to stop it. And before you get into a marriage, please make sure your spouse is well checked and you are sure you're not marrying an alcoholic. And if you are marrying an alcoholic, be ready to help them through that journey. Be ready. It's a disease that can be cured. Let's not completely blame the spiritual. This can be a cured disease. That's all we can take on today's show. Have a great day. We'll see you on Monday.
I need this weekend.